was kind of bored. I was kind of bored during the halftime, Kendrick Lamar's halftime performance, to be honest with you. I think in past years now, we've built up halftime performances as such this big spectacle, man.
Over the top, man.
Over the top. We got to have lights, and we got to have lasers and fire trucks and roller skates, swimming pools. It's a little bit of everything, man. I mean, they've become so big that I think last night when Kendrick Lamar was making more of a performance art statement than he was a spectacle, most of us that don't really understand music very well walked away from the thing going, that was kind of lame.
I think it's very easy to miss the message for sure, because what Kendrick did last night was a cinematic performance of actually delivering a message to everybody in the world on the world's largest platform. So if you did miss it, there's probably reasons as to why. I think some of it was actually on purpose. So all morning we've been kind of going over some of what these messages may have meant and the symbolism in between. Some of these that I've been reading all morning, because I know the thing about Kendrick is you have to watch something 2 or 3 times, and you got to give it a day or two. That's why I was not looking forward to coming in here and giving my opinion, because I'm like, I know I'm going to sound stupid on some of these things because the man just goes deep, and it's hard to decipher which messages he's trying to get across, because a lot of the times it could be 2 or 3 things out of one thing.
I think most people were just looking for the tea during halftime last night. Is he going to call out Drake? Is he going to use a couple of lines in that song that surely are going to continue and hurt him in a lawsuit? And that's really the only thing that people were talking about beforehand.
And I feel like that's some of the brilliance in it, is you would watch it and think that that's all he was doing was dissing Drake. But in fact, he was doing a lot more. And so I was reading this morning, and what a lot of people seem to agree on, some of these we have touched on and we caught. Some of these we didn't. Like some people believe that the entire message itself is a nod to when slaves used to use coded messages in order to communicate with each other and to keep their masters from knowing what exactly was going on.
Oh, wow.
So he did that on the largest platform possible for a hip-hop artist, which within itself is monumental.
And what would make, when you're looking at that halftime show, what would make people say that's what he was trying to do?
Well, some of these messages that I'm going to go through now will be a perfect example of how you probably didn't even realize that that's what he was doing. So one of the obvious ones, you start with Samuel L. Jackson, who narrates it as his character in Django, where he talks about what Uncle Sam is demanding from black people within the country. At some point, he tells Kendrick to play the game that Americans want you to play and don't be ghetto. That's Kendrick saying we have to play a certain game in order to be looked at a certain way, because Samuel L. Jackson also says you better do what, quote unquote, they want, because that's black people who are always getting told we're too abrasive when we're simply just fighting for our rights. That's what the message was in that. The red, blue, and white dancers all symbolized different things throughout the entire performance. They represented their American flag to a lot, in which there was a scene when they split in half and Kendrick is in the middle. That's his way of saying that the country is really divided, and it's always been that way. Another one is when everybody bends over. All of the dancers bend over and give their backs, and then Kendrick stands up in the middle. That's his way of saying that America was built off of the backs of black people, and we don't get the credit we deserve on top of that. The colors also signify Bloods and Crips, whereas this is a message where you might watch it and think that the red, blue, and white was all about the country and the country only, but it wasn't. It was also about how he is trying to unify the Bloods and the Crips. That's what the white represented. It was a peace treaty between the red and the blue, which would be the Bloods and the Crips, which he's also trying to do because he's from the West Coast. He's from L.A. Other things, the Squid Games being on stage, Kristen mentioned that earlier. That is a thing. It symbolizes the rich people killing the poor. His chain, the lowercase a, everybody saw the A minor in that, but a lot of people are now also saying that represented America not being exactly what it should be and how powerful it should be. Standing on the corners, there was a part where all of the black people were standing on a corner by a light pole. That's the symbolism of how you keep blacks on corners in America, because you don't want them to come up. There was also the prison yard, which had the same exact reference in there. The revolution will be televised comes from a poem from Jill Scott Heron, where he said famously that the revolution will not be televised, saying you can't just sit on the sidelines and think that and watch the revolution go by. You got to get up and give action, which is why Kendrick said it will be televised now, and you picked the right time, but the wrong guy, meaning him. And there's another obvious reference there that I won't touch on. In the crowd, he gave a sign warning. A lot of people felt that was a shot towards Drake, but other people feel like that's actually a sign of him feeling like the country is going the wrong way, and we need to wake up and figure it out before it's too late. Serena Williams a lot of people saw that as only him finding one of Drake's exes to take a shot at Drake. That part was obvious, but in him, they feel like it's the deeper message is he's mad at Drake for using black culture when he's not really a part of black culture, and he doesn't like the way that Drake does things like attack black women. So putting Serena up there was Kendrick's way of showing I'm going to protect black women against the likes of the people who are like Drake. That's another one I feel like a lot of people missed. And in the end, they're not like us. Everybody saw that as the diss song, but what Kendrick's deeper message in that was us as black people, they are not like us. And these are the things that we have to do, which is why he ended with TV Off as the last song, because it kind of symbolized black entertainers in America always having to perform for those in the stands, and they capitalize off of us while also still not giving us the credit we deserve.
So there was a lot there. That's a lot there to unpack.
And I probably didn't catch half of them, to be honest.
And that's probably the tip of the iceberg. And like, as you said, as the days go by, I'm sure more stuff will become like more prevalent.
100%.
The Bert Show.